So apparently, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't know very much about her culture. Okay? And the reason I'm pretty sure she doesn't know very much about her own culture, which is shocking. One would think she would know about her culture is because she uses the term Latinx. And she also doesn't like people to split up her name. She wants to go by Alexandria Ocasio Cortez or AOC. Well, here's the problem with that. I already talked about Latinx. Latinx doesn't work in the language. Yes, Alexand as okay, Ocasio. That's what I'm gonna call her. Well, Ocasio, she doesn't. I already did a video on the language of the Spanish language. Latinx doesn't make any sense. It's against the culture. Latin, Latino, and Latina, and Latinos, and Latinas. Just Latinos includes everyone already. Latinx is just an insult to the culture in the language. And it's useless because, again, Latinos already includes everyone. I already explained that. The O's is the masculine, the A is the feminine. Everything has masculine or feminine. The door, the trash, the TV, everything. But then whenever you throw one masculine with a whole bunch of feminine, you use the masculine. So the masculine plural includes everything. Latinos, it's everyone. So Latinx is just useless and it's an insult to the culture and everything else. So there's that part. I already had a video on that. The part I want to focus on is her name. Because recently she flipped out about people uh, quote misusing her name. Well, they were kind of misusing her name, not in the way she explains. Because most Latin Americans, in Latin countries in the Latin America area, and even in North America and the United States, yes, she explains this correctly. You do have you either have two last names or you have the hyphenated last name, where you have the first name from your the first name is from your father, right, and the second name is from your mother. Ocasio, and I was correct on this. Ocasio was her father's last name, making Cortez her mother's last name. Well, her mother's first last name. The first last name is what gets passed down onto your child. So whenever she has children, their second last name is going to be Ocasio, because that's her first last name. At least that's the culture and how it's supposed to be, how it normally is. Now, normally, they don't go by their full last name whenever you call them by their last name. Like if you're calling their full name, yeah, you go Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Just like if you want to call someone an American's full name, you go the first name, middle name, and last name, and their suffix if they have a suffix. Like if you want to call their full name, you go ahead and call their full name. But most people they just go by their first name, like Alexandria, or a lot of people shorten their first name. So like she could go by Alex, but she's a congressman. And congressmen and presidents or people high up like that, they normally get called by their last name. Well, there's the problem with their hyphenated last name and Latin Americans where they have like two last names or hyphenated last names. They normally go by just one of the last names, and it's usually the first last name, which is what she kind of did during her run for election. Like her Twitter and everything, it was Ocasio 2016. She was Ocasio. That's kind of what she went by. Like, kind of like Bernie Sanders, we call him Sanders, but we also, people call him Bernie Sanders, full. But people go Sanders. There's President Trump. Uh, so we sometimes include the first name, so we know exactly who it is. But we normally just say the last name with the people in power. Latin Americans, whenever they go by just their last name like that, they go by their first last name, their father's last name. They don't normally keep the whole hyphenated or the first name and last name, first last name and second last name. They don't keep them together. They go by the first last name. So, yeah, she would go by Ocasio, Congressman Ocasio. And I thought that's what it was going to continue to be, but no, she got flipped out because people weren't saying her full name, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, which doesn't make any sense to me. And no, I'm not just saying this from the outside. I was raised with Latin Americans. Like, look at my about me. I was raised with a Mexican brother, Mexican stepmom, Mexican grandparents. I was raised around Latin Americans. That's just how it works. And I know it's not every Latin American culture is the same. But when it comes to the last names, it kind of is the same. Like when you sit back and you look and you think about it, how many Latin Americans do you know go by both their last names? Whenever you talk to them and they're doing the roll call and everything, you hear the first name and you hear two last names. How many do you hear say that? Almost none. What Ocasio is doing is out of the ordinary, and it's just another attempt for her to try to play the victim card, or tries to play the race card, where they try to make everyone who doesn't say her name exactly correct racist. Now, people call her Cortez. Well, the people who call her Cortez, uh, she claims is to make her sound more Mexican, which I don't see what the problem with trying to make her sound more or Hispanic. But I don't see what the problem is with trying to make her sound Hispanic. I mean, because she is Hispanic. But I don't think that's the case. I think they call her Cortez because that's her second last name. It's the last name at the very end. And in America, that's what we're used to doing, the very, very last name. Ocasio seems more like a middle name to them, so they could say Cortez. Okay? That's probably why a lot of people just call her Cortez. No, it's not to insult her. No, it's not to make her seem more Hispanic and scary. No, this is just Ocasio over here. She's just trying to play the race card, trying to play the victim. She's trying to get sympathy points because she doesn't really have anything else to go on. Either she doesn't know her own culture, which is why she says Latinx, and why she freaks out when someone calls her by only one of her last names, or she's doing this on purpose for victim points. You can decide which one it is. Which one seems more likely to you? I say she doesn't know her own culture. She might not know her own culture. It might be a bit of both. But I feel like it's more likely she doesn't really know her own culture that well. Because she just doesn't seem like that bright of a person to me. So I feel like that's that's what it seems like to me. And this is just the True Texan explaining the whole last name debacle. Just tell me which one you think it is. Is she stupid or is she playing a victim?